Welcome to Maddie's Monthly Foster Connection, a monthly webcast where we learn about topics of interest to those of us who are interested in starting or expanding foster programs. Our guest today is Finnegan Dowling. Finnegan Dowling is Mutual Rescue's Shelter Engagement Manager and also one of the best writers I've ever known. She has been in animal welfare for more than 25 years and has worked in shelters in Washington, Colorado, California, and Nicaragua. Prior to working for Mutual Rescue, she was a social media manager for Humane Society of Silicon Valley, where she worked and was honored with the Shorty and Communicator Awards. Finnegan's writing has been published in The Bark, Beowulf, and Huffington Post. In her current role, she works with shelters around the country to help them start day foster programs. She often presents on day fostering and marketing at animal welfare conferences. She's spoken at Best Friends, Virginia Federation of Humane Societies, New Mexico Humane Conference, and many others. She lives in coastal Texas with an opinionated dog and her husband. Today, we're going to be doing a workshop on long-stay pets. So welcome, Finn.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys all doing today? Thank you so much for being here. Kelly and I spent some time. Thank you so much to the people who submitted pets. We definitely spent a lot of hours looking at those pets, and we saw a lot of really great work there. So, Kelly, if it's okay with you, I'll dive right in, and we just have a couple of slides that we're going to do. And the slides are more just, I did rewrite some bios for a couple of the dogs just to give you an idea of what we're going to talk about as we move forward. And when we're done with the slides, we're going to take one of the dogs that was sent in as an example, or one of the animals that was sent in as an example, and work through that together. And yeah, very glad to see you all here. I'm going to try to share my screen here, so wish me luck because I'm not the most tech savvy in the world. Okay. Okay, can everybody see that? Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, great. So today we're going to be talking about marketing for long stay pets. And basically, like I said, just a couple ones. We're going to start with this dog is not actually for adoption because this is my dog. Um, can everybody on there, because I don't have the chat anymore because I'm screen sharing. Can everybody there read his bio on that phone? Can everybody see that? Just take a second to read that over, if you will. Okay. It's too small. Do you want me to read it out loud?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Waylon is ready for a new home. Waylon is a 9-year-old pit bull terrier that loves tri-tip, sleeping, and watching people skateboard. He is housebroken and non-destructive, but can be hyper greeting new people. He would be a great dog for a jogger or an active person who can mitigate his issues. Waylon needs an experienced pet home with no other animals and no kids. He is barrier reactive and needs to be watched outside. He would do best in a quiet home with a queen-size memory foam bed, a skate ramp, and the ability to stream Animal Planet for him. As he gets nervous if left alone, his perfect person would work from home. Waylon is on meds, and his new adopter has to be ready to cover that cost monthly. Absolutely no flies in the house at any time. So a couple questions for you guys. What's your first impression of Waylon? I can see the chat now. So anyone? High maintenance. Yep. Silly. Okay. Cute and in control. Thank you. Waylon is actually my dog, and everything on there is actually true. Hardcore issues. Yes, Sylvia. He's a basket case full of problems. Yes. All right. Anxious. And who here would want to adopt Waylon? Ooh, just got real quiet in the chat. Okay. Thank you, Patty, because that was my next question is what is your impression of the photo? Um, and I think Patty got it really well that he looks anxious. Yeah, yep, he is actually anxious and scared looking. Um, does what's written about him like bring up any questions for you guys? Anybody have any questions about Waylon?
What's good? Tell me the good things about him, maybe again.
He likes tri-tip. Just from that, well, I could tell you a lot of good things about him, but um, I mean, if I saw this, my first question would be, what is he on meds for? And my second would be, in the name of God, what happens if there is a fly in the house? That it is that emphatic and it is not explained. And are there any phrases in here that you recognize? I'll give you the answer, Brittany, at the end. Like I said, we're not going to be in Slideville for long, and the answer is at the end. Are there any phrases in here that you recognize as seeing? So, quiet house, very reactive. Um, Great dog for an active person, experienced pet home. Exactly. Who said industry terms? All right. Awesome. We do actually have a skate ramp in our backyard. That part's true. So anyway, moving on. We're going to go to our next example. Kelly?
All right, so this is Java. She is a black cat. This is her profile, and take a look at the pictures. And let me know, like, what are the pictures telling you about her? I didn't put a bio here just because I wanted to concentrate on the visuals. Thank you. She's beautiful. I appreciate that. Thank you. She's tolerant. She likes water, and it was okay in car. Oh, actually, that's not water. She's at the airport. It's like the airport. Yeah. So there are things that you can find here. She is fine to put in a costume. She can travel pretty well, clearly. And but look at all of the ones that are in a line there underneath the three bigger ones. Yes. First of all, dark pets, taking pictures. It is difficult. It is not easy, but just about every picture I take of her, I edit because her black just kind of meshes in with the background, and you can't quite tell sometimes what's her and what's the background. So editing photos, especially when the pet is dark, is super, super helpful. Megan, yes, limited mobility in her hind legs. She is paralyzed. Yeah.
All the photos in the bottom row look alike. It looks like it was just like you took like 6 photos of her real quick, just put them all up, and that's left it there.
Exactly. And do we need all of those photos that are almost exactly the same? No, we don't. We could just pick one and put the others, and not worry about the others. What we could do, and what do you think we should replace them with? But what kind of pictures? More variety, right? Her looking at the camera, photos with humans,
Valerie,
close-up
Valerie.
face, interacting with people, close-ups, eye contact. If she's okay with kids and dogs, which she is, totally. So you can barely see it, but the last picture in that line is one that is of her looking directly into the camera, and her eyes are like really her eyes are just like real. She looks very loving, and I think that probably if I came across this profile, the first thing I would do is change that picture to be first, because you want the picture that helps you to emotionally connect with the pet to be immediate. You want to make that connection so that people will want to keep reading and keep looking through the bio and everything. The second thing is we need video. I think videos are really, really important. They help people to emotionally connect. And I think putting videos in more profiles can be super helpful.
Okay, so moving on. This is the hard stuff. This is what we're up against, but these aren't challenges. These are great excuses to get creative. And these actually, in some ways, are really freeing. increased monetization of platforms. Anybody else notice their engagement has gone way down recently on certain types of posts? We're all dealing with the huge populations of adult cats and large dogs. And we can't forget social media is not here to be our friend or to adopt our pets out. It's here to sell advertising, and it's becoming more and more focused on that. The algorithms are. And also, people are not reading anymore. When I started doing animal shelter social media, I could post a 300-word blog and it would get 4,000, 5,000 reads within a day or two. Now you can't get people past a sentence or two. So you got to be very conscious of that. And of course, keyboard warriors. Keyboard warriors are the people that if you're the slightest little bit irreverent or funny, are the ones that come in and say, how can you say this about that dog, this or that? Those people aren't looking to adopt a pet. Take them out of, don't worry about them, take them out of your life. And then from public perception that shelter animals are broken and that we are animal jails and that they'll be too sad. Um, and then we make it hard to adopt. That's, you know, we can't control all of this. And what we can do is work against these stereotypes. Whenever you're posting anything about long stay pets, ask if you're yourself if you're breaking those stereotypes about our animals being broken, about our animals, about the like being a sad place, or if you're reinforcing them. Because the more we break them, the more we get these dogs and cats out of the shelter quicker. Get just some basics, real quick basics, and post, and post again. I think it was 10 years ago, there was a statistic that people would have to see something 7 times before they would take an action on it. And that was before Instagram and TikTok and everything else got huge. And now I believe that number is up somewhere between 15 and 22 times. So we're going to have to be doing a lot more content. The good news is there's a lot more opportunities to do that. We have stories that you can just continually post long stay pets in without flooding your feed with them. TikTok videos, Facebook Reels, all of that. And right now, the platforms are really prioritizing Reels and stories. So if you're putting these long stay pets in Reels and stories, both Instagram and Facebook are showing those to people that don't follow you. Like if you open your Instagram or Facebook feed, you will see stories and reels from people you don't follow because they're really prioritizing that type of content. So the big shift now with every single long stay dog is make sure you've got somebody out there with the phone. Make sure that you're talking to your frontline staff and asking them if they have cute videos. Frontline staff are amazing. And that's what they do all day is they take pictures and videos and send them to their friends. So definitely take advantage of that. Um, Also, I saw some of the shelters have doggy day out programs. That's awesome. Um, when you have those dogs out, always make sure that they are in a vest that says adopt me. Um, Definitely, if you don't have if you can, those backpacks that say this dog is out on a field trip. If you can't afford those, find somebody with a cricket. If you have cat volunteers, I guarantee you have somebody with a cricket. I don't know why cat people love cricket machines, but those are those things where you can make decals to make t-shirts and backpacks. So definitely you want to make sure that you're getting vests, backpacks every time that dog is out of the shelter. It is a marketing opportunity, and you need to make sure you take advantage of that. Also, skip the horror story backgrounds. I know sometimes we like to tug the heartstrings, but we think that because a story touches us, we think it will touch other people, but just be very careful with those because this dog came from a bad background. Um, First of all, nobody deserves to be defined by their worst day, and that includes the animals in our pet in our care too. I wouldn't want to be defined by the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it also makes people think sometimes that the pet is broken, that they are not capable of living in a home because they did come out of a situation like that. So just be very careful about how you use those. They don't have the same reaction to the public as we think they are. I always bring up the Sarah McLachlan ad that came out in 2008, and we are still leaning very heavily on that type of marketing. Um, and apparently it's great for fundraisers, but it doesn't work for adoption. Fun fact about that ad, anybody recognize that photo the minute you saw it? Or am I just getting way too old? Anybody else recognize it? Yep. So that came out in 2008. Sarah McLachlan herself admitted that she only watched the ad once and would actively turn the TV off or change the channel when it came on. And she was in it herself. You can look it up, that she won't even watch that ad. So just be really careful about that um, when you're talking about dogs' backgrounds. And the other thing is lead strong, come out with a hook and stay with it. So, from some of the amazing folks that sent in bios, I did a couple of quick rewrites. Um, who is here from Maui? Did Maui come? Because they submitted one. Do we, I love the Maui girls. Um, yes, okay. So I rewrote I've heard a lot about Kilo from Kayani and Lexi. And so that yes, that's he seems like a great dog. And I'm not going to reread all of it, but I'm not going to read this aloud, but I took it and I came out with a really strong hook. And I noticed that Kilo's issue is that walking through the kennels can be a challenge for him, people, men particularly, walking through the kennels. So I made a point in this bio that could be put on his website, that make sure to ask for him at the front desk so that people that are interested in him are not actively walking past that kennel and have that reaction. I also leaned really hard on the family thing because that's what a lot of people are looking for, is dogs that are good with families. So I really hit that a bunch of times. I made it funny, tried to make it a little bit smarter. So it was already excellent, but I just tried to make it like a little bit irreverent and funny. So that's one of them that I redid. So, and I also switched his photo out for those beautiful bright colors. So,
All right, Jet. Is Caitlin his foster here? Just wanna, because I think I saw a couple of Caitlins in the attendee list. Awesome. Okay, y'all, please help me and please give a hand to this foster. She has been doing an amazing job marketing Jet. There are so many wonderful pictures and stories about Jet. First of all, when I got Jet, when I came up, of course, I was like, oh my God, I'm in love. Because she's a black cat and she's also sassy and she's a polydactyl.
she's
So
tummy.
yes. But then I read the bio and her bio, the hook sentence in her bio was so good. I wanted to put it up here. It says, I love that when I go into adoptable Jet's room with a book, she hurries over to settle in on my lap while I read. That puts the reader in the, in the movie. They can see her coming into the room and jumping into their lap when they're picking up their book. That's what you want. You want people to be able to imagine themselves with this pet and having this pet in their room. I mean, in their home. So did a great job using quotes. One thing, and I don't know, I don't think it's, I think, well, video. I highly recommend doing video. There were a couple of things in her bio that I think would be really, really helpful to get visuals of. One of them is her chirping like a bird. An idea is to get 3 or 4 clips of her chirping like a bird and string them together. I can totally, and if you need help, I can totally give you a quick tutorial offline. And then ask people, which one do you like the best? I do this a lot with my cat's social media account, and it's surprisingly popular. Also, she's a polydactyl. You do have a picture of her hand on yours, and it's so cute. Keep going. I especially when you're if you do videos like Instagram Reels, polydactyl, people love to see polydactyl paws. they're like so different and so interesting that that like literally a video of just her paws could probably be a really good one. Also, she is a dog-friendly cat, and so if um a lot of people with dogs would love a cat, and she likes dogs but not cats, so just market her as like a dog and a cat body or a dog cat. I should have let you do this because this was your part for it, Finn, sorry. But get visuals. If the pet gets along with dogs, cats, or kids, get visuals. You want to get a video or photos because that tells the person that they are good with that right away before they even start reading. Last, there are like a bazillion large accounts on Instagram that are dedicated to black cats. And what they do is they take content from other areas and they repost it. So one of the things that has been pretty successful for me is if I'm do a reel or a video of my black cat, I'll tag some of them in it. And it will go to their Instagram page. And if you click on the tagged thing, it'll show up. So like their followers can see your video. Also, a lot of them are willing to cross post. So send them a DM and ask them if they would be willing to cross post her. I think this could be with black cats in particular. There's just a lot of great resources, and we'll talk about a little bit more later. Yeah. Finn, do you have anything?
No, I just would have leaned very hard on the dog-friendly cat. This cat is absolutely perfect. As somebody with a dog, I would definitely do that. I would also consider engaging with some, if you can find influencers or popular posters that have both dogs and cats where they post those animals together, I would get in the comments and just bomb the comments of them and say, anybody else looking for a cat for their dog? I have the perfect cat dog. But definitely get some engagement on that. Also check for polydactyl groups too, because polydactyls, like there are people that literally only adopt polydactyls. So I definitely would look for polydactyl accounts, that sort of thing as well. So, but lean very hard on the dog friendly cat because that is a very rare thing. So, another one that I did rewrite was Shirley. And the other thing I did with Shirley was I changed her name. And again, these are all just examples if you guys would like them to use. Shirley, just seems like an absolutely amazing dog. The one thing that I wouldn't lean very hard on is the fact that she does come from a sad situation. Um, Also, you'll notice in all of these that I did redo, I don't mention how long the pet has been there. And the reason that I don't do that is because people when they see we see that and see that as the animal really needs a home. But first of all, there's so much better things that you can focus on. This dog has so many great strengths, so many absolutely incredible strengths that instead of telling her sad story, let's give her those strengths instead. Also, the Facebook posts for this dog were completely incredible. I saw so many amazing photos of this dog that were so cute and fun and happy. She's in a cardboard box. She's rolling around on her back. I definitely would use some of those on her bio page instead of the photos that I was seeing there. This dog has amazingly gorgeous eyes and an incredible coat, and I definitely make sure that she's never against a brown background when you're photographing her, particularly for a bio or something really important, because all of that gets lost. But this dog, I mean, I could eat her up. She is a Hershey can, like a Hershey's kiss. But definitely also, you'll notice the other thing that I did with the bios is that they're very high energy. They're very take action now. They're very fun, a little bit irreverent. The harder you lean on that, the more you lean into the fact that this is a great dog. But definitely try to avoid mentioning she's been here for 7 months because people really do see that and they do sort of wonder, oh, if she's been there for 7 months, either she's really hard to adopt or she has a lot of problems. So definitely try to avoid mentioning how long the dog has been there. So, but I definitely Brevity in bios is best. You can definitely be a little bit longer. So, yep. And I also did a quick post for Floor because Floor to me seems like a dog that is basically looking for 90%. The owners, or like her perfect home would be 90% of the dog owners I know who are generally kind of more into dogs than people, which it seems like Flora is. She's a little shy with people, but she loves other dogs. So if I was doing a non-video or a non-video post, I would lean very, very hard on that she likes a quiet house and she loves to play with other dogs because most big dog lovers, not always the most social people, but they love dogs. And so this would be a great way to help market her. So
Oh, really quick. Um,
go. Sorry,
you
ahead.
go, if you'll go back, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Um, if you can.
I'm
If
trying
not,
to.
no worries.
There we go.
Um, for Floor, so with all of the pets that you sent in, we took some notes on them. If you would like the notes, email me. I'm gonna put my email here. Actually, we will also put it in the Maddie's Pet Forum, in the thread on Maddie's Pet Forum that's in here. So, but there was a thing about Floor being a beach dog. And there are people such as my husband who will emotionally connect immediately to a dog that likes water. Get video and photos. That was the major thing. I really think that it'll help to solidify that emotional connection when people are when you're talking about the love from water, her love for water. Y'all are marketing her regularly, which is awesome. Um, Ideally, each post should be different, and it can be difficult when a pet is in foster. So you may need, like, it may be that if the foster isn't sending a lot of stuff, you could have a volunteer do a parallel walk with them and snap some photos, or someone she knows could take her on a field trip to a sniff spot or something like that. So just continually getting more material. And let's see. And I think that's about it. Thank you.
Okay. And let's see.
Oh,
And oh, wait.
yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right. Because for some reason, once I went back, okay. All right. So key takeaways: avoid when I did the fake Wayland one, somebody called it out right away that there was a lot of shelter speak in there, barrier reactivity, stuff like that. Most people don't know what that means. It just sounds scary. Use every single media channel you have. Run stories on Facebook and IG often. Again, I know I said it before. I can't say it enough. I know your marketing people don't have time to be taking a ton of videos, but there's a very good chance that a lot of your frontline staff and volunteers already have videos of that animal. And if you just send out an email saying, "Hey, if you're taking photos or videos, send them to me," that's a great way to generate content for them. But definitely make sure that you're very conscious of those touches and that you're using your stories and reels the best way you can. Just all hands on deck, but know that we are moving towards social media being almost entirely video. Keep captions short and focus on positives. Um, definitely, don't. The thing is, if you post a photo of a pit bull dog and you say needs to be in a pet only home, how many other pit bulls do you have in your shelter? Whose shelter is full of blockheads right now? Anyone? Blockhead shelter? Somebody would see that photo, make an emotional connection to that dog, and then see that stop sign there of no other pets. Well, that person might not have been perfect for that particular blockhead, but wouldn't you want somebody that would self-identify as someone who is willing and able to adopt a pit bull to come into their shelter? Stop signs can always be handled during counseling, but particularly with long stays, and I know with dogs, we're seeing a lot of long stays that are huskies and that are pit bulls and German shepherds now too. Be very careful with that because you probably have a lot of those in your shelter. So anytime that you do a post, just also keep in mind, hey, if this isn't the right dog for somebody, we can steer them towards another dog in our care. Um, Always vary your photos, be switching those up as much as you can. Photos with people, photos with other animals, play group videos. If you're doing dogs playing for life, that's awesome. You can say a dog is great with other dogs, but when they see them getting down in a play group, that's incredibly helpful. Always focus on who the dog is, not their background. We are all bigger than our worst day. And be very aware of the fact that they are onto us, that avoid cliches like great for active family, because right now pretty much everybody reads that as that dog is going to require 6 hours of exercise a day. And also don't be scared. Don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to be irreverent. Don't be afraid to take something and do a little guerrilla marketing campaign with it. And as we move into working through one of your dogs, we'll talk a little bit more about that. And also, emphatic negatives with no explanation are terrifying. Waylon can't be around flies. Does he eat people when he's around flies? What happens with flies? No, Waylon has extreme sound sensitivity, and the sound of a fly makes him hide wherever he thinks he can. In that first photo, he was trying to hide in the towels. This time there was a fly in the house and he actually climbed into the dryer, and we wound up having to put a child lock on the dryer. But just be aware of that. So, and there's the answer to the fly question too. All right, so let me see if I can get us to the handout. And that's not it. Where did the handout go?
I think it was
Did you?
two in front of this one.
Okay. Mm, Why is it not letting me? Hold on, I'm going to stop
No worries.
screen sharing and then we can get to talking, and then I'm going to bring that back up so you guys don't have to watch me. So,
Oh, okay. All right. You want me to talk about that or you want to wait? We've got
um,
some good questions, so.
let me just why don't we start with some of the questions while I get it pulled
Okay,
up, because we just had a
cool.
little tech issue over here.
All
So,
right. So first one, how do you carefully market wobbly kittens? We have 2 in the center and 3 awaiting a place. Um, this is something that makes me very excited because um, normally I would say in the public facing information, you don't want to put any negative information about a pet that might help, that might be a stop sign. It might kind of help or like make short circuit making an emotional connection. However, when pets have specific health issues, there are people who are very, very connected to those. When I see a kitten who is paralyzed or a cat who's paralyzed, immediately I love them. So I think when you're talking about health issues, can be a way to emotionally connect. It's just a little bit different. Um, with on Instagram, they love to see videos
mm-hmm.
of like any kind of videos of them walking. Um, I would try to follow along with a pet and kind of check in with them, once a week or however often, and kind of say, okay, this is what her fosters are doing to help her. Here's her, here's how she eats, and here's what they're doing to help strengthen her muscles. And just check in with them once a week or so to kind of to keep them and do lots and lots of video because the wobbly stuff, people they eat it up.
Yes,
And also talking, yeah, and talking about it and letting them know, you know, um,
they're happy. They
mhm.
don't realize they're different. I mean, I would definitely go with the Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. If anybody remembers that, or if I'm dating myself once again. But I think you could have a lot of fun with marketing them. But just definitely make sure that to emphasize that these animals are totally happy. They don't know that they're different, that they're just wobbling through life, living their best life, and we have a lot to learn from them. So,
Instagram is like the most amazing place for people with special needs cats. Um, I have found it to be a really, really supportive community. And now that I think about it, what I will do is the spreadsheet that um, I'm going to talk about in a minute, I'm going to add a section about special needs cats so that we've got.
And I'm ready to go back to that.
Okay, cool.
Cool. All right.
All right, so
So
this is the long stay pet marketing checklist. I've already thought of something that I left off of it. It is not a finished product. It's probably never going to be a finished product. If you have something that works for you, please let me know. Send me an email. But what it is it's basically to help you troubleshoot if you have a specific long stay pet, like what you can do to get them more exposure and make sure that the marketing that you have is as effective as it should be. This checklist is it's for marketing only. It is not for assessing a pet's welfare, and it's not like a whole shelter solution. It's not something that's going to help keep your overall population down. It's basically like when you have that pet that's been there a year and you want to see what's going on with that specific pet, and how you can improve their stuff.
there's a couple things on here too that I just want to touch on really quickly. And one of them is in shelter. Make sure all of your adoption team is very aligned on marketing. If you can, incentivize them, every team member to be spending time with that animal. I've worked every frontline position in a shelter, and I will tell you, adoption counselors get tired, they get overworked, they get bored, and all it takes is one counselor coming back to the adoption desk and saying, "Oh gosh, Mac is really hard to get out of his kennel." And then the other counselors, if they're having a long day and somebody wants to see Mac, they're going to remember that and steer the people towards somebody who's easier to show. So just make sure that your adoption team is incredibly aligned on on all of that. B, that their adoption team is being incentivized to spend time with the animal and get to know them, because the more of a connection the adoption counselors feel with the animal, the harder they will market them. So maybe have Starbucks gift cards and say anybody who's willing to take Kilo or another dog that maybe hasn't been out of the shelter but is it a long stay dog out for a pup cup, we're going to buy you a cup of coffee on your break. And when people spend time with animals, they're more invested in them. Also, as somebody, when I was an adoption counselor, I would put bounties on dogs and on long stay pets. And what a bounty is the adoption counselor that got that animal adopted would get some sort of prize. It might be $10. It might be an extra free work shirt if they have to buy their own work shirts. It might be a piece of shelter swag. It might be the ability to name a litter of kittens. It might be something goofy like naming a litter of kittens after them, where but it definitely worked and it definitely brought attention to them. So don't be afraid to incentivize your adoption staff to get that animal out.
One other thing, especially if you have a pet that has been surrendered or has been there for a while, and you're at an organization. One thing that I have seen in many situations is that they're wondering, what can we do to market this pet, and there's something hiding in that pet's file, like maybe in something the the previous owner wrote down or something that is like the key. And I'm just going to tell you a really quick story. So I was working with this organization and they had a long stay dog, and the dog, they didn't know how to, they were like, what should we do? And I said, send me the notes. And so I went through the notes. I went through every dang note. And at the end, there was a little thing that was in the previous owner's thing. And it said, he alerts me to my glucose levels for diabetes. And I was like, what? It was not in the bio. It was nowhere. It was just like so tiny, it had gotten lost. And so I talked to them and I said, this dog is either well trained or he's a dog genius. And either way, this is like how you market him. So they said, well, we don't know if he really does that. And I said, and so they ended up asking their fosters if any of their fosters could take him and test him and see if he could. Well, he did. He got into foster immediately, pretty much, and he is, in fact, a diabetes dog, and that's a huge, huge, selling point.
And if you do have a long stay that has not been in foster, get them in foster, particularly if they have a lot of behavior notes on them, because a lot of times behaviors that we see in the shelter are not reflective of how dogs will behave outside of the shelter. That's one of the reasons that I really love doggy day out programs, is because it's not uncommon for people to take a dog out and say, hey, you said he was leash reactive and this and that. And we were out all day and we passed by, 5 other dogs that were barking at him and he didn't have any problems at all. Just so you know what behaviors are shelter specific, because I think sometimes we get really hamstrung with behavior notes that are more a result of the dog being institutionalized and acting out of character than how the animal actually behaves in the real world. So, all right, shall we
Totally
move on
agree.
to the,
Sure.
all right,
All
who
right.
you want to pick?
All right. So this is a group for marketing
Oh,
cross-posting adoptable pets. I just wanted to kind of show it to you. There's a link in the chat. You can open it. If you send a pet in before today, I tried to put in there at least 10 local groups that are near you. Granted, I did not join the groups and I don't know exactly, but they are somewhere to start, basically, if you're looking to do cross-posting. And the reason, there are a lot of ways to do it. Facebook groups, Reddit has a bunch of groups that are local and for specific needs. And also there's a huge list of black cat things. If you want to look for these groups, you can search in Instagram for whatever it is that you're looking for, like Fairfax, Virginia, and see if there's anything, if there are groups there that are, that might cross post a pet. Facebook groups are very easy to search. So you can search locally, you can search for, pet adoption. And there's also ones on Reddit. And I think, so that actually is an answer to one of the questions.
should we try to work through one of the dogs, or should we go through or one of the animals, or should we do Q&A?
Oh, we should probably do Q&A. What do you think? We don't
Um,
have much.
yeah, we don't have much time, so
Okay. Let me go. Okay. Um, there were a lot of questions on the forum about pets that had behavior issues, especially ones that are not good with animals or not good with kids or not good with dogs, and how to market them, and especially if they can't attend, uh, like adoption events, that kind of a thing. Um, Finn, how would you approach that?
my first question would be, was that behavior would be, first of all, double checking that that is a behavior that is seen outside of the shelter. So animals that cannot be marketed with, or that can't live with other people, or can't live with other animals. A lot of people only want to have one dog. And a lot of people too, depending on the dog's energy level, there's an organization, New Mexico Dog, in Albuquerque, and they do an amazing job. They work with chain dogs, and the majority of the dogs they work with are not in that situation, because they have lived on a chain their whole life. They have no real world skills and can't really be, and they rely really heavily on seniors can be a really great way to, particularly if it's an older middle-aged dog, is try to market that dog to some sort of senior population, because they generally only want to have one dog. They're not people that want to take a dog to the dog park, so they place a lot of their dogs with younger seniors, and that actually works really well for them. Also, too, in just how I would talk about that dog, I would describe it as an introvert. I would do a lot of reels about introvert looking for same. Because there's a lot of talk now about people that are introverted that don't like to be around other people or don't like to, and I would just sort of, instead of marketing it as a negative, just be like, you don't need another pet when you have this one, and you guys can understand each other. There's a lot of great ways to talk about that. instead of just saying they're a unicorn. But also the other thing is before you're putting all of those things on a post or a bio, do take a look at what kind of dog that is and also look at your population to see if because again with pit bulls and stuff and German shepherds, if you have a lot of them, you always want to be careful about stop signs and posts and bios because as Kelly has said a million times, they are not adoption counseling. This is marketing. You have to keep the two separate, but you do want people that are willing to adopt a breed that is, we have a heavy population of in sheltering right now to self-identify. So just be very careful about that. So
Also,
watercolor calico.
I love it. Um, let me put in the chat information on separating marketing and adoption counseling. I don't want to go too much into this because we've already had a bunch of resources on it, and we could literally talk about this for the rest of the day. But that kind of explains how I usually do it. Where like, and it's very similar to the human foster care system. So in the public bios, it's all positive, but when somebody inquires, then they they can learn more, and as they are more interested, that you are able to have a conversation with them one-on-one, as opposed to putting it in the bio where it might become a stop sign, even if they are perfect for that pet. So that I'm just, that is in there. One thing I usually do is I'll start, especially if the pet is in foster, I'll do the bio all positive, and then I'll write the first email template and kind of begin to talk about the needs, but also first try and really anything that will help to make that emotional connection as well, because the emotional connection is really the most important thing. If they have it, they may be able to get through to the stop signs might not be as much of a stop sign. Another way you can do it is because some organizations are really not for that. If you have the stop signs in the bio, if you do a post on Facebook, make the post all positive and put a link to the pet's profile. Even like that few seconds can be helpful. What were you saying, Jen? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that, all of us have a falling in love story with our own pets. And don't deny people the ability to fall in love with stop signs. Just don't, because once people make that emotional connection, you will find that they're willing to change their lives, or willing to change something to make that love happen. It happens to us with people, and it also happens to us with animals, and definitely give people that opportunity. So
Awesome. How do you make long stay pets appealing? Like, how do you find that thing that's gonna make that emotional connection?
first thing you do is you stop thinking of them as long stay pets and stop marketing them as long stay pets, and instead really focus on the positives. Treat that animal as an individual. Again, please stop mentioning how long the animal has been there, even though we understand that that means that animal needs a home more. It really does make people wonder why the animal hasn't found a home. So treat it like an individual. And I would also suggest getting it out of the shelter one way or another, either short-term foster, something like that. But you need to get some more information on those positives and really go for a strong positive hook. And pretty much anything can be turned into a strong positive hook for somebody because there's a lid for every pot. So somebody asked about AI, if I used AI, and I did not. When I did those couple of rewrites I rewrote them. But play with AI, because you can literally say, please rewrite this in a cheeky tone. Please rewrite this in a irreverent tone, and play with it a lot. You can train it to do that, and you can ask for different tones. So if you're not a great writer, don't worry. Tech has this all covered now. So
Awesome. So with AI, one of the things that I've been doing recently is giving it, saying, I'm writing a social media post for an adoptable cat who is gray and likes to play with the wand. Can you give me 20 hook sentences? And usually one of them will be amazing. So
And hit popular culture too. Comparing a dog to like a character on The Office or on a TV show that either has a cult following or is fake, that can create a connection that will get people to read the bio. So
absolutely. Bethany
that,
says, oh, sorry.
oh, I was so go ahead.
You were going to say the same thing?
Yep. Bethany, I do agree that it can work, but I think the crucial words that I'm seeing here are very rarely, and I'm super glad that it works for you. I'm not saying never mention it, but when I do look at a lot of social media posting, um, I do tend to see a lot of dogs advertise with their length of stay there. And so use it sparingly. If it's working for you, that's awesome, but just don't in every single post be like, this dog has been here so many days, this dog has been here so many days.
Awesome. Let's see. This one, how can we use long length of stay as a, or how can we use long length of stay as a selling point rather than a negative?
I loved this. I
Right?
loved this.
I'm thinking something like, while in the pen, Sparky got his law degree and is starting to help other residents with their cases. Any other creative ideas?
Definitely. Absolutely, definitely. Like, definitely like I used taxes when I was writing about Kilo. But definitely like he's so good that we've kind of, been keeping him here, but now we're ready to let him go home with you guys. Something like that. So
Awesome. One of the things too is when you, okay, so when you're looking at a pet bio and it says or looking at information and it says, like she's really smart. What does that actually mean?
hmm
So there was this one dog that we marketed and she was really smart. And then we were like, and then we wrote something like, she asked me if she could go take the SAT, but we thought that might be too much or something like that.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
play with play with the things that you know and like, how that could fit into life. And it doesn't have to necessarily be super logical. It
Yeah,
can just be
and
funny.
also we're all in this together. If you see a post that another shelter did about an animal that looks similar to yours and it got really good reception, I'm not saying dupe the post word for word, but try to recreate it. If it was a video of something silly, if it was a way that they talked about it, go ahead and do it. Like I know when we did Eddie the Terrible, which was the first big one, everybody started doing anti-marketing. And we were like, great, it's getting these hard to adopt dogs out. So, it's getting hard to adopt animals out and it's become a genre in and of itself. And that's fantastic. Like, don't be afraid to look at other shelters that look at Vintage Pet Rescue. They always have great content. Ardmore Animal Control, oddly enough, they do some really, really funny posts that are really great. Trying to think of some more off the top of my head. Stephanie at Louisville Metro, who writes about their dogs, her posts are awesome, and she deals with a lot of long stay and a lot of difficult dogs. So definitely Louisville Metro Animal Services is a great inspo account to follow. Who else am I not calling out here?
One tail at a time does a great
One
job,
tail,
especially
yeah.
with
Oh,
foster
yeah.
marketing.
Yes, definitely.
Mhm.
So,
All right, next question. And this one, I totally feel you on this.
Taylor Swift. I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm chuckling over Taylor Swift.
I'm hesitant to post a lot on Instagram because my foster room isn't perfect like I see a lot of the more famous foster accounts having. It's a safe and comfortable spare room transformed into a kitten room, but it's not coordinated and cute. How important is the background in our pictures? You want me to start on that?
You could start on that, but I mean, you start on that. I have a couple
Okay.
W. So,
I'm gonna say I feel this in every bone of my body because my cats have an Instagram and I have 8 pets. Our house, it's impossible to keep to keep pet hair off of the floor. I vacuum every day. It never is going to be great. The content is almost always pets on my desk. if you have really, a good camera and the picture is in focus and the subject is emotionally gripping, the background may not make as much of a difference. Um, I don't think you necessarily need a perfect room. However, I do, there are other ways um to work that, like finding just like the best area with the lighting and kind of clearing that area and making that where you film, that kind of thing.
The other thing too is if you're always in that room shooting, my only thing would make the room a character in the story that like, up, the kittens have messed it up again. The only thing I think you can talk about it, particularly if you're doing video, and you can even use it as sort of an ongoing gag as like, you know, what sort of disaster have they created today? The only thing I would steer away from is obviously dirty litter boxes, but things that aren't coordinated or aren't cute, that's fine because kittens are little instruments of mass destruction, and that's what we love them as. So, call it the room of kittens of mass destruction, that sort of thing. Because people don't get as skittish about kittens being destructive as they do about a 90-pound dog. So you can play with that a little bit and have fun with that. But again, as long as there's not a litter box, I would even do like a tour video of why the room is perfect for the cats and everything like that. And even if people are commenting that the room is messy, that gives you that's engagement, which you need to move up on the feeds, and B, you can use that as the opening to a door. So yeah, but as long as it's not dirty litter boxes or ashtrays, I don't think most people are really going to worry too much about it, especially if you address the elephant or the cat tree in the room, such as it were. So Kristen Best, that's absolutely perfect. I would definitely, yes, yes, yes. So
I love it.
mm.
I
Or
guess we
you
have
can
time.
call it the chaos room. I would call it the kitten chaos room. So
Totally. um we've got time for about one more question. Do you find that a more interesting name can also be a hook?
yes, LMAS is great at that. Um, Particularly if you're dealing with a lot of they just literally grab random phrases and like they have a dog now named Man with a Plan. They had another dog named Holla at You. They and a lot of times, and I know people just look at the LMAS site just to look at the names. Like one of the reasons that I changed Shirley's name was to give her something a little bit more attention getting. Like, why is this dog a sure thing? So definitely be creative with names. The Sailor Swift comment, standing ovation over here for Sailor Swift. So, yep. You can post a long-term, should I,
Well, I'm gonna say, yeah.
can I
Y-
touch this one real quick?
yes, please. Sorry.
If you are filling up your Instagram grid or your Facebook feed with it, yes. But if you're putting them in stories or reels, no. So if you are hitting, because remember, stories disappear after 24 hours. No, and in fact, you could even do a daily story with the dog, like, it's time for coffee with Carl or something like that. So yes, I'm sorry. It is. I am saying LMAS. It's Louisville Metro Animal Services, LMAS. So.
As long as I think you're right. Stories are a great way to continually feature longer pets. If you have great content, I would, post it at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to be different and like really quality content. Um, there are I think a couple of people here from Lynchburg Humane, and they have a little series that's like what's Maggie doing today?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's just little things that she's doing around the shelter or on a field trip. And people really, really seem to enjoy it. And they've actually gotten some comments about how much they like them.
Yeah.
All
And
right. Oh
are
God.
we? I think there was one more. Oh, and the other thing too that someone said would was a question we got first. Would you suggest a dog that's in foster, marketing it as foster to adopt? And anytime you can move a dog, particularly a long stay, out of the shelter or into a home where there is a potential for adoption, even if it's already in a foster, I would do that. So I would definitely, with every dog that is long stay, offer a foster to adopt, offer an adoption test drive. Worst thing that happens, the animal comes back and you have more information on how it behaves outside of the shelter. But definitely make sure that you are offering foster to adopt or foster test drive for your long stays. It can be an incredibly potent way. I think there's a shelter in Florida that calls it the test drive, where you can test drive any dog for 3 days. And once people take a dog out and it's in their home, even if they don't want to adopt it, it doesn't work out for them, they're going to be pushing it on their friends if they make a connection with it. So
Awesome. All right. Well, we are a little over time, but I really appreciate all your questions. I'm currently working on the schedule for these for 2025, so let us know if you'd like to see us do another one next year. Thank you so much, Finn. We really appreciate you coming here and doing this with us, and we love it. And thanks to all of you who are watching the webcast. Any questions we were unable to get to today will be answered in the Maddie's monthly Foster Connection post on Maddie's Pet Forum.
thank you so much, Kelly, for having me.
Thank you for coming. And then Finn will be available for the next few days on Maddie's Pet Forum to continue the discussion. You can post more questions there. I will post also some of the I'll post all of the resources that we talked about, and also we can post some of the notes for the dogs we didn't get to.
Yeah,
All
I would
right.
love to do this again with all of you where we just do nothing but work through some of your examples together. So, and if the shelters that we did, you gave them the slides. So if you want those bios or posts that I wrote for you, go ahead and take them and use them. That's so. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. We will see you next time.